How did a single discovery over 2 centuries ago change the course of human history and save millions of lives? What secret did one English doctor uncover that would not only challenge the medical practices of his time, but also spark a revolution in disease prevention? This is the secret story behind the first vaccine. Let's travel back to 18th century Europe, a time when smallpox was one of the most feared diseases on Earth. Its symptoms were horrifying: fever, vomiting, and most notably a painful rash that would develop into pus-filled sores across the entire body. It killed about 30% of those infected, and those who survived were often left disfigured or blind. Entire communities lived in fear of smallpox. Parents would whisper prayers over their children at night, hoping the disease wouldn't reach their village. It was a time before antibiotics, before modern hospitals, before even the basic understanding of germs. And yet, amidst this darkness, an idea was forming, one that would change everything. That idea came from a curious English country doctor named Edward Jenner. Jenner was born in 1749 in Gloucestershire, England. From a young age, he showed a fascination with the natural world. He studied medicine in London under one of the most respected surgeons of the time, and eventually returned to the countryside to open his own practice. But Jenner wasn't just treating patients, he was observing them, listening, asking questions, and one day, he heard something strange. Local dairymaids, women who worked milking cows, often claimed that they were immune to smallpox. They said that once they had caught something called cowpox, a much milder disease caught from infected cows, they never got smallpox. This idea wasn't new. Rural folklore had passed down this rumor for years. But no one in the medical establishment had ever seriously considered it, except Jenner. He wondered, could cowpox somehow protect people from the deadlier smallpox? Could this be a natural form of protection, an immunity? In 1796, Jenner decided to test the theory. His patient, an 8-year-old boy named James Phipps, the son of Jenner's gardener. Jenner took material from a cowpox sore on the hand of a milkmaid named Sarah Nelms. He made small cuts on James's arm and rubbed the cowpox pus into them. The boy developed mild symptoms, a fever, some discomfort, but recovered quickly. Weeks later, Jenner exposed James to smallpox. It was a risky and controversial experiment, but James never developed the disease. Jenner had just performed the world's first vaccination. The term itself comes from the Latin word vacca, meaning cow, a tribute to the source of the cowpox virus. But Jenner's discovery was not met with instant celebration. His methods were questioned. Critics called it unnatural. Religious leaders condemned it. Some doctors were outright hostile. After all, Jenner wasn't part of the prestigious inner circle of London medicine anymore. He was a rural doctor with a controversial idea, but he persisted. He documented his findings, repeated the experiment, and published his results. Over time, more physicians began to replicate his work, and slowly, the resistance began to fade. Governments took notice. By the early 19th century, vaccination campaigns were being launched across Europe. In 1803, Spain sent a group of orphan boys on a global voyage known as the Balmis expedition, carrying the cowpox virus in their arms from one child to the next across continents, a living chain of immunity. In 1807, Bavaria became the first country to make vaccination mandatory. Other nations followed, and by the late 19th century, the world had changed. But what was it exactly that Jenner had discovered? He didn't know about viruses. The science of immunology didn't yet exist. He couldn't explain the mechanics, only the results. What Jenner found was a principle that exposure to a less dangerous pathogen could teach the body to defend itself against a deadlier one. That principle would become the foundation of immunology. Later scientists like Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch would build on Jenner's work, adding the tools of microbiology and germ theory. They would develop vaccines for rabies, cholera, and anthrax. The groundwork laid by Jenner opened the door to all of it. And the impact? In 1980, nearly 2 centuries after Jenner's experiment, the World Health Organization declared that smallpox had been eradicated from the earth. It remains the only human disease ever wiped out completely. And it all started with cowpox, a curious doctor, and a brave young boy. Today, vaccines are a routine part of life, often taken for granted, but the story of the first vaccine is not just a story of science. It's a story of curiosity, courage, and belief in a better future. It reminds us that sometimes the greatest revolutions begin not in royal courts or great universities, but in the quiet countryside with a single question: what if this could save a life? Thank you for watching Old Topic, where we uncover the forgotten chapters of history. Until next time, keep asking questions.